the last video, we have tested our liquidity smart contract and we have seen that everything's working fine. So we have written so many smart contract, and now it's the time that we should start focusing on the front end, and we start connecting the front end with the contract. So this is how the front end is looking right this moment. So let me show you that what we have done so far. So from here you can easily able to search, you can click and you can open, everything's looking fine. And right now we don't have any token because we have not passing any data, so don't worry about that. Everything's working fine. If you come here, click here, and this is what we're going to build now. So this is the finished product. You can see that you can able to find all the tokens which you have provided as a liquidity, or we're going to provide all the token exist on a Ethereum blockchain. So we're going to use one powerful API, although we can run our own node in our computer and we get the data right from the blockchains, but I don't want to create my own node, otherwise my computer will get down. A lot of pressure will come on my computer. So I'm going to use a third-party package like CoinMarketCap, which provide the same data, and that's the data we're going to display here. So right now you can see that we have created a couple of liquidity, couple of tokens, and all the data I can easily able to find here. So this is what we're going to build. So you can see this is the Ether, USDC, Wrap Ether, and Uniswap, and from here you can easily able to filter. So if you type Ether, you can easily able to filter the token. You can see the price and range and volume. If you can remove, and if you want to find about any other tokens, Uniswap, that's working fine. And we are working on the Ethereum blockchain, so we are displaying Ethereum. If you want to work on a specific blockchain, so that's going to be dynamic. So that looks pretty fine to me. This looks pretty beautiful. So this is where we left in the last video. You can see our entire project is looking so clean. Come back to page and we have to create another page. So that data we're going to display on a token page. So let's create a token page first. So we'll call it token.js, and we have to create a component. So we'll create a component called all tokens, and inside that we have to create the JSX, and we have to create the CSS file for all tokens, module.css. So that's the component. We are here. Now let's come back here, close this one, and come back to the style file, and we have to create the CSS file for this token page as well. So click on that, and we have to create a file. We'll call it token.module.css. So that's the setup we have to do. Now let's come back to the token page, and here we're going to write the code, the JSX for our token page. So let's quickly write that. We have to import a couple of things from React. So use state and use effect. We have to import the image, and that's coming from the Next.js. Let's do a couple of internal imports. So we want to import the style, the CSS file, and that's coming from the style directory. And now we have to import the images, all the images which we have inside the asset folder. We have to import a component. So this is the component we want to import, all token, the one we have created, and that's coming from component index. And now we have to define our function. So we'll say tokens, it's going to be asyncs, and here we're going to define the data. So right now we'll go with the demo data. So right now on the images you can see that this is the data. So we're going to display some demo data. Once we build the entire architecture, then we're going to push the real data. So this is the data we have: Ether, USDC, this one. So let's write that first. All token list, we'll call it set token list, and it's gonna be an array. Inside that we have to define the array of object. So this one is going to be number 1, and you can see that this is how it's looking when I'm typing. The below code is not displaying because I'm using an extension which I can see the code, but you guys cannot see. So currently I'm testing this extension in my code editor, and that's why it's coming like this. So just code along with me, everything will make sense. So this one is going to be the image.ether logo. We have to define the name, Ether. We have to define the symbol, ETH, and we have to define the price, this, and we define the change, and the last one is going to be the TLV, and this one is going to be the volume. So this is going to be the last one. So these are the data every single token will have. We're going to add more data. I'm thinking to add graph. So a graph will say up and down that what is the price range is going up and down. So that's also I'm going to include, but right now just go like this. So this is the first one, and let's write the second data object. So this one become number 2. Let me quickly write this one. So we have created all the 4 arrays. So right now I'm going with the 4 array. We can create more. So let's close this one, and we can come here. We're going to create another copy all token list. The reason why we am creating this one, because we have to add a filter. So when someone will search for anything, we're going to filter the entire array, and we're going to display only those data which will match the query. So use state, and it's going to be all token. That's what we're going to pass it, and on that we're going to filter the entire data. So let's take another variable. We'll say search, set search is going to be empty, and we have to take this search item, set search item is going to be this search. So let's create a function which allows us to search the token. So on handle search, we're going to pass the value, and inside that we're going to take this const filter token. We're going to take the entire token list, and we're going to call this filter method, and we want to add the filter on the base of the name. You can add it on the base of the address, but I'm going with the name. So we have the name, and once we have the name, we'll call this to. We have to convert into a small, and then we have to check this for this method, include value. That's how we can compare. So that's the on handle search function, and in that we have to check for the if statement. So if filter token dot length is equal to 0, in that scenario we have to display this set all token, and we're going to pass this all copy all token list. Else we call this set all token list, and then we're going to pass this filter token. So if someone type any text and that text matches the query, then we want to display the text query. Otherwise we have to display this entire filter token. That looks fine to me. Let's close this function. Let's create another function which is called on clear. So when someone will clear the input not typing anything, on that time what we have to do? So on that time we're going to simply come here, and we'll say if all token list length, copy this one length, all token list dot length, and copy all token list dot length. If that, then we have to set this copy all length token list, sorry. And that's the simple thing we have to do. What we are doing, we are checking that all token list dot length and copy all token list. If both the statements are true, then we have to simply display the copy all token list. That's the clear search function. Now let's come here, let's take this use effect, and in that we're going to simply call this. So we'll say const timer, because we want to check that is there anything in our input or not. So for that we're going to use this set timer function. So we'll say set timer out set search, and we're going to search this. It's going to be 100 millisecond, and we have to simply return this clear timeout. Once everything searched, we have to clear that, and that's our use effect. In that we're going to pass this search item. Simple JavaScript. Hope this makes sense to all of you guys. So that's the function we have. Let's take this use effect, and in that we're going to simply call this one if search, then we're going to call this handle search, and that we're going to pass the search. Else we have to call this function on clear search, and we have to simply close this one, and it's going to be a search. So that's the second use state. So if we have a search data, then we have to call this on handle search function. If we don't have anything, then we have to call this, and we have to pass the search. So that looks pretty fine to me. Let's come here, and now we can start writing the JSX. So we have done with the entire functionality with the search, and now we are writing the entire JSX for our page. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna take a div. It will have a class style token. So we are working on this. We are working on this entire div. In that div, we have this top token. On Uniswap, we have this header, and we have the entire body. So first we are working on this. So let's work. So we'll take another div. It will have a class called style.tokenBox. We'll have another h2. In that we're going to have the title. So top token on Uniswap. We'll come down. We're going to take a div. It will have a class called style.tokenBox header. In that we have to build two components. We have to build this ether, and we have to build this search input. So let's code that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a div. It will have a class style token box Ethereum, sorry, and in that we're going to have this p. So we'll have the image. So we're going to provide the property. So we have to provide the source ether logo. We have to provide the width is going to be 200, and we have to provide the height is going to be the 200. So that looks pretty fine to me. We have to close the image, and we want to provide the text as well. So we're going to take another p tag, and in that we're going to type Ethereum. Let's close this one div. That's the close one we have. And now let's create another one, and that we're going to create the input filter. So it will have a style, we'll say token box search, and it will have a p. In that we're going to display a search icon. So this is the icon we want to display. This is the icon. You can do in the div, but I'm going with the p tag, and I want to treat as a text. So we'll have to do the same thing. We have to provide the images source, we have to provide the alt, and we have to width is going to be 20 and height is going to be 20, and we have to close the p tag. Once we have closed the p tag, then we have to take this input. We have to provide the type is going to be the text, and the placeholder we have to assign. So the placeholder would say something like filter token, and we have to add the functions. So the function we have to add is on change, and we have to update the data. So we're going to call this set search item. So this is the state we have created, and in that we're going to pass the data e.target.value. So whenever someone will type anything, our state search item will get updated, and in that we can easily able to filter the data, the logic we have built. So on change we have, let's come here, we're going to call this value is going to be search item. So this is the initial value we're going to pass. We can close this div. Now we have to close this div, main div. So we have closed the div. Now let's come here, we have to create another. So this is the component we have created, all token, and that we have to send the props. So all token list, we're going to send the data, and we're going to close it, close this div, and now we have to simply export default, and then we're going to pass this token. So what we can do, let's have a look. We are done with this, looking fine to me. This is the entire token, this is the component we have created, and I have noticed one thing, that we haven't imported that component into our component index. So that's the one change we have to do. The rest is looking fine. This is the entire data we have, this is the entire use state we have, this is the on handle search filter on clean, and we have this use state, looks pretty fine. This entire JSX we have here, and this is the component we have. Let's come here, go back to the component. Inside the component we have this index.js, and in that we have to import this component, the component we have created. So let's call it import all tokens, and that's coming from the same directory, component all token. So that looks pretty fine, and pass it here. So now it will work absolutely great. Let's come here, come to this portion, and go back to the, open up your terminal, and let's restart the application to see that things are working fine or not. Now what we can do is simply clear the terminal, and we have to run the dev environment. Click on this, and here it's working fine. And here you can see the Metamask is getting open, because we have this fetch data function which is getting triggered every time someone will visit our application. So it's looking fine. And what I want, let me log in first, unlock my account. So things looks pretty good. I've logged into my account. Now what I want to stop this. So let's come here into the context, and for the time being I just want to hide this. I want to comment this, because I don't want to deal with the data right now. Let's focus on the front end first. So let's comment this one, and you can see this is how it will look. We have our top token on Uniswap, we have the icon, we have the Ethereum, we have search, and we have input. So it's looking absolutely fine. Come here, and that looks pretty good to me. Come to the global CSS, and here we have to do the CSS. Before we uncomment that, let's do the CSS first. So let's come back to the token, and we have to style this entire. So we'll target the token, and we're going to provide margin block 5 RAM. We're going to target the token box, and it will say width is going to be 60%. It will have the margin 0 auto, so everything will be in the middle. Let's target the token box h2, and we're going to say font size is going to be 2 ram, font width is going to be 400, token box header going to be display flex, gap is going to be 1 ram, align item center, token box ethereum, display is going to be flex, align item center, gap 0.5 ram, font size 1.2 ram, font width is going to be 700, background color is going to be our primary color, padding 0 ram and 2 ram, line height is going to be 0, border radius 0.5 ram, color our second primary, border 1 pixel solid, color is going to be our second primary with opacity, target our token box search, display flex, align item center, gap 1 ram, background color primary color, padding 0.2 ram, 2 ram, line height 0, border radius 0.5 ram, width is going to be 50%, border 1 pixel solid our second primary color, token box search input, background color transparent, outline none, border 0, color our second primary, width is going to be 90%. Let's add the media query, only screen and maximum width 35 em, token box width is going to be 90%, margin 0 auto, token box header, display going to be grid, token box search, padding 0.5 ram and 2 ram, width is going to be 100%, token box h2, we want to make the font size is going to be 1.5 ram, font width is going to be 400, close this one, and that looks pretty good to me. So we are done with this entire CSS part of this token page. It looks pretty good. You can see this is the entire media query we have written. Let's come back to the application. You can see it looks pretty good, just like the design we have. So we have this top Uniswap token on Uniswap, we have this ether, we have the search. Things are looking beautiful to me. Let's do the inspect element. You can see it's 100% responsive for mobile device as well. Do the console and see we have no more error. Looks pretty fine. So that looks pretty good. Now we can simply come here, and now we can simply uncomment this. We can uncomment, we can click on this, and now we can start working on our all token JSX. So let's import couple of things from React, and we need to have the image that's coming from Next.js. We have to do the internal imports, so we have to import the style file, and that's coming from the same directory. We have to import the images, that's coming from the assets. Now let's create the function all token, and in that we have to receive the props. So this is the props we are sending all token list. It's gonna be an asyncs. We have to return the entire JSX. So let's take a div. It will have a class style.allToken, and inside that we're gonna have another div. It will have a style all token dash box. Inside that we're going to have another div. It will have a class called all token dash box header. Inside that we're going to take a p tag, and it will have a class called hide, because certain headers we want to display only on desktop, but sometimes we want to hide on the mobile device. So this will have a hash. Now we'll take another p tag, and in that we're going to have this token name. We'll take another one. It will have the token price. We'll have another one. This will have the change, and it will have a class called this change, because this one we're going to hide on a mobile device. And we'll want to take another one, we'll say this class is going to be hide. Let's come here, we have to take a, and we have to take the image. So this is the image we're going to provide inside the small tag. So let's take an image. We have the image inside this image folder question, width is going to be 50% and height is going to be 50%. Let's close this one image. Let's close this our p tag. We're going to take another p tag, and inside that we're going to have this class hide, and we're going to take this small box, and in that we're going to display the image. So we'll have this image, we'll have to add the source, arrow, price, alt, width is going to be 15 and height is going to be 15. Inside that we have to display the text. So we're going to close this one small tag, and we're going to add our text, and this will call volume. And that's normal, guys. If you guys can see the sounds in the background, just ignore. And here we're going to display the another small tag, and in that we're going to take the image. So let's take the image. We have to provide the source, we have to provide the alt tag, width, and we have to provide the height. Let's close this one. So that looks pretty fine. Now let's close this p tag. So this is the entire header. Let's close this one, header component, header div, and that looks fine. So that's the entire header component we have written. And now we're going to write the actual data. So we have all the data into this all token list, and we're going to loop over it, and we're going to render the entire data on the table. So all token list, we're going to say map element I, and it's going to be an instant return, and that we're going to have a div. It will have a class called style.allToken box list. Inside that we gonna have a p tag, and this will have the data. So we're going to attach this hide element.number, because if you look at the data, and that we have defined a lot of things, number, we have the price, we have this change, volume, everything. So element.number, we can easily able to access that. Let's define the other variable. So we have the number, now we have to define the name. So we'll have this style all token box list para, and inside that we're going to take this small tag, and it will have the image, the icon of the token. Width is going to be 25 and height is going to be 25, little bigger, and we're going to close this small tag. And inside this small tag, inside the p, and now we have to take the text. So we're going to take this small tag, and then we're going to pass the name, and here we're going to pass the logo itself. Let's close this p tag. Now let's take another p tag, and in that we're going to display the price. We have to take another p tag, and that we're going to display the simply change, and it will have the hide class. We'll take another p tag, it will have the class hide, and in that we're going to display this TLV. Now we're going to simply add another p class, in that we're going to display this volume, and we're going to simply close the div, and we're going to close the entire loop, close the div as well. Let's come here, close this one, and close the entire one, and now we're going to simply export. So we'll say export default, and we have to export the entire token, and with that we are done. So it's looking absolutely fine. This is the entire import, this is the data we have, and this is the entire JSX we have written. So hope things are making sense to all of you guys. Let's come here, and here you can see this is how the data is look right now. So we have all the data which is rendering absolutely perfect. The only thing we have to do is to add the CSS. You can see this is the entire data, and somehow the images are not displaying, but we're gonna fix that. Not a big deal. So this looks pretty fine to me. Let's come back to the code and simply close this one, and let's start working on the CSS. So first thing, we are targeting on our header. So you can see this is the header we have. This is the portion we're going to target, because we have already designed this in our token CSS. We have to target this, then we'll move to this row. So let's target that. So first thing, we're going to do all token box, and we're going to target margin block is going to be 1 RAM. We'll have the background is going to be color, our main color. We'll have the border 1 pixel solid, This will have our second primary with opacity. Let's add a border radius 0.5 ram, and we'll have all token box header. In that, we're going to add display is going to be grid template column 0.5 fr, 4 fr, 2 fr, and 2 fr, because we want to build all together 1 2 3 4 5 6 column, and that's what we have defined: 0.5 fr, 4 fr, 2 fr, 2 fr, 2 fr, 2 fr. Let's define align temp center, padding 0.5 ram and 1 ram. We have to take the border bottom is going to be 1 pixel solid, and it will have our second primary color with opacity, all token box header p, and is going to be a display flex. It will have the align item center. It will also have the gap 0.5 ram. And let's come here, and here we're going to target the entire data. So all token box list, we're going to target the display is going to be grid, and here we have to define the entire column. So it will have a grid template column. Width is going to 0.5, 4 fr, 2 fr, 2 fr, 2 fr, and 2 fr. It's the same column we have to provide, and it will have a padding 0.5 ram and 1 ram. It will have the align item center, and it will also have the margin top minus 0.5 ram. All token box list para. This will have the font size is going to be 1.3 ram, little bigger. Display is going to be flex, and a gap is going to be 0.5 ram, and it will have the align height is going to be 0. It will have the align item is going to be a center. Let's come down. We have to add the media query, so we'll say only screen, and max width is going to 35 ram, and we have to target the all token box list, and in that we want to say that grid template column 3.5 fr and 1 fr, because I don't want to display the entire data table. I want to display only the name and the price. So let's close that one, and we have to get that height class, and we have to say display none. So all the component will have this height class will be height. And let's come down here. We're going to target the all token box header, and in that we have to pass this grid template column. It's going to be 3.5 fr and 1 fr, and that looks pretty fine to me. Now let's call this height class, so all token box header, and we have to hide that as well. We'll say display is going to be none. That looks pretty good. And now we have to target the all token box list para, and here we have to change the text. So font size is going to be 1.1 rm, and that looks pretty fine. So with that, we are done with this entire css. Let's come here and let's have a look. So things are looking fine. You can see this is the all the styling part for this entire component, and with this we are done. You can see, let's come here in the browser, and you can see this is how it looks. It's beautiful. Don't you think that? If you really think it's beautiful, do hit like and subscribe, and do let me know that it's beautiful. Let's see how many beautiful word I get in my comments, so I can see that you guys are really enjoying the project. So this is the entire data table looking absolutely phenomenal to me. We're going to add more coloring to this. So we're going to add the pricing, the color. If the pricing goes up, we want to add the green color. If the pricing goes down, we're going to add the red color. So we're going to add those things as well. But these images are somehow not working, and I know why it's not working, because I don't have those images. So let's quickly import the images. So let's come here, and I'm going to simply import very quickly. So these are the images which I have in the image folder. So I'm simply importing questions, arrow 1, wallet, left arrow, and tick. And now simply come here and export that. And if you save, it will work fine. So save it. And again, this images, this folder and file structure you will find in the starter file, and I will provide you all the entire source code in the complete project, okay, very soon. Let's come here, and here you can see we have our images back. We have the questions, arrow, and that. Reload the browser, and things looks absolutely awesome to me. And here you can see this is the problem we have here. You can see the token, then we have the question marks, and because the reason why it's question mark, and somehow by mistake I have sent the query, and that's why we have that question mark. So let's fix that. Let's come back to the code, and let's close all these tabs. Close this one, and close this one. Come back here in the navbar. Inside the navbar, we are rendering this menu. So here we have the menu, and here we are sending the link, the query. But actually we don't need to send the query. So simply remove the entire query, and this will fix the problem. So let's come here, reload the browser, and if you click on this token, you can see right now we don't have that problem. If you click on the poll, we'll get this 404 error because we don't have that page, but you can see our router is working fine. If you click, you can come back and you can check everything's working fine. You can simply able to filter. So if you want to filter the data, you can filter that. If you want to filter the Uniswap, let's remove that. Let's search that. Okay, let's search that USDC. Okay, it's working fine. You can see we can easily able to filter the entire token, and that looks fine to me. So hope these things are making sense to all of you guys. You can simply navigate to the different pages, and that's the only thing I want to cover in this video about the token page. In the next video, we're going to start working on the pool page, and that's going to be a lot of fun.